This is a battle for America's soul. Will you answer the call? That is today's topic. This is a battle. This is not about immigration or crime or taxes or Doge. None of that stuff. War, Putin, Zelensky, no. Israel, Middle East, nope. This is about us. It's about who we are. It's about our mental health, our safety, our world, not these other people. Now, that may come as a shock to you. That may it comes as a surprise, but I don't give a hot diddly damn about any of these people. Not in the least. I only care about them in terms of how it affects us. If it doesn't affect us, then I might say, okay, let's think about that. Is there anything we can do? Do we have enough time? America first. Is it selfish? Well, all you Ayn Rand folks would love that one. It's subjectivism, baby. No altruism there. It's about who we are. And every day I start my day and I go through the news and I ask myself, what is this? Why is this story important? Well, most of the stories really are not important. They're just news. Oh, George Foreman died. That's sad. I liked him. It's kind of interesting. Cori Bush's husband was turned, okay. And pretty soon we're just weighed down, I should say, and waylaid by all this extraneous information, and we're trying to push our way through, and we're saying, what is this even about? What? And then we move on, and then we move on to the next story, and we never get our bearing. Because we don't have enough people like me spending time with people like you saying, focus on what matters. Your ability to appreciate the complexity of the world is being absolutely compromised by virtue of what we are seeing. Does this make any sense to you? I hope it does. Listen very carefully. And I mean this with all my heart. We're going to be talking about something today which is absolutely critical. It's what does it mean to be an American, our soul? What are we really fighting for? We can't let people, stories like, oh, it's kind of funny, AOC farting, a woman chasing somebody with a MAGA hat, more Tesla fire stories, always involving visuals, always involving B-roll. Is that really what's important? No. There's something else which is important. And it's trying to find out this weird kind of psychopathy that we are involved in right now. I don't know why, but there's this psychopathy, this weird behavior. So we're going to stop for a second. We're going to think about this. And I'm going to point something out to you, which you will find absolutely fascinating, which is before you, but nobody's talking to you about it. It's not because it's complicated, but it takes a little bit of work. And as you know, most people are lazy. Okay? Now this. Listen to me. Are you drowning in debt? You're not alone. New reports show the average person is buried under $8,674 in credit card debt, with total consumer debt soaring to a staggering $104,215, including mortgages, auto loans, student loans, and credit cards. It's a financial crisis, and without a real solution, many will keep spiraling deeper. That's why I want to introduce you to a powerful secret weapon that has helped so many regain control. They specialize in consolidating all your debts into one manageable monthly payment and even negotiate a settlement so that you can pay less than you actually owe. Think about this. They've already settled over $275 million in debt. Think about that. Helping people break free in an average of just 28 months. I've personally recommended their services to friends and clients who needed a way out, and now I'm bringing it straight to you, my loyal Lionel Nation family. So don't wait. Book a free consultation today, right now, at nodebtwithlionel.com. That's nodebtwithlionel.com. The link is right under the title here. It's time to take back control of your finances. Act now. Get out of debt and start living the life you deserve. I told you, I think I did, one of my favorite thought experiments is what I would describe or explain to somebody from another planet, to explain us, to explain our behavior. It's a great word experiment, a thought experiment, I should say. And it's something that I would commend to you, certainly, for your review of such. And I want you to think about it very carefully. But first, Cut Up Chatter says, I just found the dog stealing my breakfast. Boppy thinks, Boppy first, no shame. She was rescued from a kill shelter. She thinks it's smart. It is smart. It is smart. Boppy does not understand or is waylaid by this thing called morality, sharing, this notion of privacy, boundaries, jurisdiction. Wait a minute. We don't waste our time with that. Are we better off with that? I guess. Maybe sort of decorum. But that's all they are. It's not where they're from. They're smarter than we are. Sometimes the argument can be made, cut up, that all of this morality is just a waste of time. I know I sound like Ayn Rand. The most overrated fraud in history. The people that are frauds, I don't understand it. The Tates, Conor McGregor, Ayn Rand, CPAC. Oh, by the way, before I get back, I did an hour and a half with our good friend Charles Ortel. Did an interview with him for an hour and a half on the Clinton crime fraud enterprise. And if you do not, be on the lookout. If you're not subscribed, it's moving up right now. It will blow your mind. Talk about non-binary, no boundaries. But thank you for that. But let me go back to what I'm saying. A while back, now work with me on this. Here's the premise. Wait a minute. Cut Up says, Ayn Rand was so campy, could barely watch. Well, not even, she was hard to watch. She reminded me of Brother Theodore. She looked like an old Picasso when Picasso had that strange, that blue period part. But aside from her looks, I think she's just, people had to like her. People had to like Jack Kerouac. On the Road, that ridiculous logoria nonsense. Nobody had the guts to say, this is just stupid. But let's go back to this. And thank you for that. Two groups of people. I'm going to make this very simple. Democrats, Republicans. This is unfair. Liberals, conservatives, woke versus patriots, whatever it is. You pick the icon that you want. Of the group of people causing the most physical problems, are the wokies, the lefties, the Democrats. That doesn't mean all Democrats are. It doesn't mean all woke people are. But there's a group of people when it comes to George Floyd rioting, BLM rioting, hurting people, doing terrible things, wanting to scare children, wanting to have drag queens. It's this group. Now, do we have a version of that on the right? No. Do we have people on the right who want to blow up, let's say, abortion clinics? No. I mean, it's been done, but no. Do we have any people on the right who want to go into public schools and talk about how bad gay people are? No. Do we have anybody talking about how bad gay sex is to children? No. Do we have people on the right instructing children on the benefits of heterosexual introitus, not introitus, intromission, I should say, excuse me, versus no? Do we have anybody? No. Do we no? Do we have anybody on the right gunning down the CEOs of insurance companies who might provide abortion pill? No, we don't have that. None. On the left, got loads of them. Do we know? Have you ever heard anybody on the right who was ever arrested for stealing Biden signs, Harris signs? And I'll never forget driving through and about areas like Upper Montclair, sort of this lefty, these lefty conclaves. I remember seeing the Biden Harris signs and thinking, my God, there's nothing to them. They've given up. There's no style. There's no pizzazz, no panache, nothing. Okay, aside from that. So it's always on the left. Why is that? Why is that? I don't know. What is it that makes them do this? Remember, not all of them do this, but they're from this part. Raoul says the American soul may be hurt, but not conquered. Maybe. No, I think you're right. I'm not saying it's over with, but it's certainly worthy of inspection. Now let me go back a few years, because work with me. I remember when I first became aware of this, I was doing talk radio, and this thing called politically correct came about. It was what we call PC. And before that, there was even, I'll never forget watching All in the Family, and Gloria had a friend of hers, and they were doing this women's event. They were making some type of a poster or something. Anyway, they wanted to spell women. Maybe it's not from this episode, but they wanted to spell women WOMYN versus EN, because men and men. And I think, okay, fine. All right, fine. Also at that time came the transmutation and the transmogrification of words, including black people. Black people were called Negroes. And then no, that changed. You know the transition. Went to colored. Okay. Then it went to, and these were completely, perfectly good words until they weren't. Until somebody said, that's kind of, Negro is, I don't know what's going on with that. Who was a Samuel L. Jackson? Why don't you do this, Negro? Remember, it was kind of like a cap. Okay. Negro, okay. Black, but black, no, black later on came after James Brown. I'm saying I'm black and I'm proud. Oh my God, black. Afro-American, African-American. Oh. Okay. And it just changed. I'm wondering, why are they changing this? What is it? Person of color, African-American? I used to love to say, when African-American first came out, African-American. What country? What country? Africa. No, it's a continent. What? Nobody knew. I had a friend of mine one time who worked at Tampa Bay. Was it Tampa Bay? No. Tampa Bay or University Square Mall. One of the two. Or Floraland Mall on Bush and whatever it was. I remember this. Remember the song, Float on. It goes, Sagittarius, and my name is Lamont. Float on. All right. But there was one, this guy came out, Cancer, and my name is Larry. Float on, float. And we have a group of us prosecutors, we refer to each other as Larry. All of us were Larry, because float on was this big thing. Okay. Sometimes in the urban group, they would have signs on windshields. Sagittarius, Pisces. I always tell people I was feces. I still do. Anyway, but Cancer was really important. So my friend I knew who was at a t-shirt shop at a mall was selling all this cancer, the astrological sign, cancer. And he said, wow, I can't believe all these people are born in whatever cancer is. I have no idea. March. And they said, no, I'm not born in March. Well, why are you doing it? No, I just like cancer. I liked it. No, but you have to be the sign cancer. No, I don't. So he's wondering, what is going on here? And it hit me. People are so in love with words and labels and fads, they don't even know what it's about. They don't even know it. I remember in the 70s, during the time of Southern rock, Marshall Tucker, Allman Brothers, Wet Willie, Outlaws, Leonard Skinner, the Southern Cross, Sweet Home Alabama. Nobody knew about the Civil War, what happened. If I'd have been a lot like Dixie, I don't want to go. And then there was the Texas thing, which people just all of a sudden, and I was into it too, with the hat, and all of a sudden we're look at us, we're Southern rockers. We're in the South. Hey, urban cowboy, looking for love in all the wrong. Johnny Lee, Mickey Gilley. Remember all that Texas dancing? That stupid dancing where they would have dance lessons. And you go like that. Go, what is this? And there was the bull. And they wanted to be John Travolta, urban cowboy. Think about all the dancing things. Anyway, Boogie Night. Blah, blah, blah. Now, aside from that. So here we are today. And that was a long intro, I realize. But here we are today. And we're still seeing these lefties trying to find who they are. And humans to an extent. And they will just they will adopt things overnight. And I've said this, and I apologize. Forgive me, dear friends. But tattoos, you're walking around, have you ever noticed, like, we're on the end of the trajectory. It's like, well, I guess you wanted that tattoo. Yeah. It's all covered up. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Sure is, Starting to fade a little bit, isn't it? Yeah, it is. I'm getting older, and it's, well, you wanted that. You wanted that. You wanted that. Because you were a part of the movement. Okay. Where are we now? We're at the tail end of this lunacy that we're seeing. And one of the greatest examples ever is this story about Snow White. I know that was a long time, 18-minute intro, but I had to tell you this. This is what fascinates me. This is my mind. This is the way I think. I love to just develop how things, because all of this has something to do with Russia, Putin, Israel, borders, ICE, Kash Patel, Pampa. No, this is like human behavior, which is my favorite subject. Snow White, Disney is dying. You think somebody would say, we're losing money and this woke shit is killing us. Why are we doing it? Snow White was universally, I'm telling you, without a doubt, without exception, universally panned. This woke train wreck that nobody wanted. And that the people at Disney, where they're losing their shirts, said, we are so committed to this leftist nonsense that we're going to lose millions and potentially billions of dollars pursuing this when they are told time and time again, stop doing this. We don't believe this. And Hollywood has officially, again, lost its mind again. Now, I'm not going to go see Snow White. I was never really a big, what. But the latest casualty. Now, Barbie, by the way, worked. I don't think that was Disney, but Barbie was a different story. Barbie was. Oh, my God, Barbie. You missed that one. Women were actually going out and dressing up, and they liked it, and we're going to be girls. I said, yeah, girls. There was nothing. There might have been some tranny here and there, or some non-binary, but you couldn't tell. Funny thing about trannies, you don't know this is terrible. Sometimes you say, is this an ugly woman or is this a tranny? I'm sorry. But have you ever thought that? It's like, I don't know. Is that true? In any event, Disney's remake of Snow White is mind-boggling. Or should it be called Snow Woke? And the 7 victim groups. This is the most ridiculous. This will be taught in textbooks. They took a beloved fairy tale. How many of you gals did you ever? Oh, Rick Rohr says, never saw Barbie, never will. Good for you, Rick. See that? Rick is I don't do that. I don't watch CNN. Rick's one of my favorites. Not Rick personally, but I love these people. They're, not me, buddy. No way. I don't get CNN. They love to tell you what they don't do. They love it. Thank you, Rick. By God, don't let anybody think Rick Rohr is involved in this. No way. God damn it. I'm going to tell you, I'm not involved in this. Not me. And Rick's proud of that. And that's good. Most people say, Rick, we don't care about this. It's okay. No. But of course, I'm deliberately saying, don't read the comments. They're not going to get it. They're not following this. They want to just talk. And I'm sorry, I love you. Some of you later on listening, because I can tell from the comments, people who write later on, but as the live is going on, oh, no, it's a shit show. It's just like, I'm here, and it's okay. And far be, I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but you know who I'm talking about. You could just read this. I really don't read them because it's just, I think to myself, just turn this off. They're not getting what you're saying. So, but every now and then I'll glance over, and there'll be a Rick. I didn't see it. And he confirms everything I say to him. I say, you shouldn't have talked about this. They're not going to get it. Don't let Rick don't think he represents the world. Yeah, you're right about that. He's just one. Not everybody thinks like he does. I know. Okay, yeah, you're right about that. There are people who want to talk about this. Okay. But they're just not here. They're not here. This is the most fascinating story there is. This is a story, nothing but the greatest form of, how do I say this? This is the greatest example, the greatest study in human behavior ever. Now, there were some young women who liked Snow White. There were girls who they're growing up, it was part of they liked Barbies and they liked Snow White, and they never thought anything about it. They never thought of dwarves and nothing. It was just a story. Little Black Sambo. I remember Little Black Sambo. I remember the tigers with the tail. I didn't understand what was wrong with Little Black Sambo. What's wrong with Sambo? What's wrong with Black? I didn't know this until they told me. I still don't know. Well, this was a story about innocence and virtue and redemption, and this is the story. This was, say what you want about Walt Disney, he knew what he was doing. And now it's been hijacked by these people, by this radical left wing, these ideologues, who do it even though they're losing billions of dollars. These are hell-bent, these people, on still, despite the Trump victory, despite the end of DEI, shoving diversity quotas and identitarian politics down America's throat. They're not, and this is at the highest level. You think Bob Iger or somebody would say, enough of this. Nobody wants this anymore. Why are you doing this? Nobody wants, it doesn't matter. Their ideology is so strong, they're not going to budge. And guess what? Audiences aren't buying it literally. And I use that term correctly. Literally. So let's get something straight. Nobody asked for this. There was no child ever going to their parents saying, listen, Mom, Dad, can you give me a reimagined, politically sterilized version of Snow White with no dwarfs, please? I'm sorry. They're called magical forest beings. Did you know that? They don't even use the word dwarf or little people or whatever. And they don't They're denying people jobs. I don't see anything wrong with dwarves. Is it dwarves? Hang on a minute. I'm never sure. Roofs? I used to say, somebody used to say roofs. And I said, no. Dwarf plural is, can be dwarfs or dwarves, with dwarfs being the more common and historically accurate form, while dwarves gained popularity after Tolkien's fantasy work. So see, always want to check on being correct in terms of that. This is the most fascinating story there is. This goes to show you what's wrong with it. So there's no prince, and there's no charm, and they're taking this, and they're taking it, and they're gutting the parts of it which are important, which Disney said kids love. But the radical left, these people, not the radical right, there is no radical right. There is a radical left. There is no radical right. I got news for you. But this radical left, this wokies, they don't care about what people want. They only care about pushing their own kind of virtue signaling, deranged social agenda for themselves, even if it means destroying and torching their own profits, dragging beloved American institutions and cultural icons down with them. Do you hear what I'm saying? These are the same people who say, I will think nothing of risking my life and being in prison for the rest of my life in torching a Tesla dealership because this is who I am. This is a pathology. I know, Rick. I don't drive a Tesla. I know that. I don't do that. Thank you very much. Now, this movie, this Snow White, and everybody's talking about today, was a disaster from the moment it was announced. And you would think people would say, look, bottom lines, we got to worry about our shareholders. Instead of a classic European fairy tale character, they get, not Rick, but they got a lead actress proudly declaring that the original story was weird and outdated. This is the actress. She made it very clear she was playing a leader. I'm doing the air quote. A leader version of Snow White who didn't need a man to save her. In other words, the film wasn't about love. Look at this. Our good friend Fred Haddad Jr. gives 10 memberships. Thank you, Freddie. Is that Fred a beautiful guy or what? Thank you, my friend. So anyway, so this is great too. So you have this woman, she's her story. She's talking about it. It wasn't about love or growth or morality or, heterosexual kind of like princes and princes. Oh, no. It was about ideological warfare, I guess, dressed in CGI or something. I don't even know what the hell it is. And let's not forget this bizarre move, this decision to erase the 7 dwarfs. Apparently because they were somehow offensive now. Offensive to whom exactly? Who was offended by this? The dwarves aren't offended. They lost jobs. The 7 dwarfs were beloved characters with unique personalities, not caricatures meant to demean anyone. Each of them was special. I know, Rick. I know you're gonna. I don't watch that. I know you don't. I know, buddy. God bless you. I know you don't. That's okay. But for purposes of us following along, they're missing the point. These are things which are so important and so critical. I can't say this enough. These dwarfs were magical. Nobody was stupid. But in the upside down, weird, inverted logic of DEI and all this woke lunacy, they had to go. They had to go. And they were replaced with a diverse, a lot of air quotes today, with a diverse group of random adults in, I guess, mismatched or whatever costumes with zero chemistry, no interactionability, nothing. And it was less, as they say, less magical forests and more failed improv troops. It's just stupid. So this is DEI in action. And it's killing them, but they're not budging. It's not about merit. It's not about quality. It's making sure that there's someone from every background, even if none of them can act, even if the story makes no sense, even if the whole thing collapses under the weight of its own woke lunacy. Talent is optional. Agenda is mandatory, I guess. And what happens next? Exactly what anyone with common sense expected. The trailers bombed. The test screenings were catastrophic. The audience feedback was brutal. People were laughing at it, not with it, laughing at it. Memes exploded. Critics tried to spin it, of course, blaming, the toxic right-wing outrage machine. Whoever didn't say anything about this. Rick Rohr, maybe. I don't know about Rick. Rick's a part of that toxic machine. Love you, man. Love you, dude. But the truth was, staring these idiots right in the face, no one liked it. It was stupid because of what you did. Still, Disney pushed it. Why? Because this is no longer about making good movies. It's about controlling the narrative and the focus and the idea and the mentality. It's about indoctrination, not inspiration, not the process, not movies, not kids, not buying tickets, not loving it. Do you know on Broadway, the number one, oh my God, Wicked, I've never seen it. Like Rick, I never say that. But people of the average, I think they said the average, the average return is like 5 or 6. This sounds crazy, right? There are people who have seen it 5 or 6 times. They love it. You don't understand it. They love it. And they buy the merchandise. And it's huge. Cut Up Chatter says, her face was the road and rubber slapped it. Thank you. Interesting. Interesting. I thank you. Now, let's go back to this. So important is this message. So important in the process, they're burning billions. The Marvels, Indiana Jones 5, Lightyear, all massive, colossal flops. And now, Snow White, a title with almost 100 years of global brand recognition and love, it gets dragged through the mud in service to what? This woke ideological nonsense. And they don't care. That's the part that blows my mind. They don't care. Even though they're losing billions ultimately. This is so huge. This is what we're up against. This is the battle forward. Nobody even wants to make movies anymore. It's about, thank God when it comes to food, at least, people aren't saying, well, we're not going to serve French fries because we got to taste stuff that tastes good. No, even they recognize, no, we got to make money. We got to serve people what they want, even though it might be bad for you. That's what Bobby Kennedy, by the way, you get the impression Bobby Kennedy is not exactly going to be the ball of fire we thought. We're going to get red dye number 8. Thanks, Bobby. All right. Controlling the narrative, controlling the thought, controlling the meme, controlling the murmurations, controlling all this. It's about indoctrination, not inspiration. And it's not the process. They're burning billions. Think about it. This kills me. Flops. I got to say this again. Snow White, 100 years of global brand recognition of love. Destroyed on the altar of woke, whatever it is. And again, so I'm asking, how do you explain this? I've got a guy here from, let's say, another planet. How do you explain this? Well, why would a publicly traded company continue down a path of this self-destruction that's clearly killing its own financial future? Why? Simple, my friend. The people running the studios aren't interested in profits, and it might have been because they didn't have to worry about profits because of that USAID kind of money stuff that we call. You know what I mean? Huh? Maybe they're interested in pushing politics more than money, and they don't have to worry about this. You know, these are the same Ivy League indoctrinated lefties, these executives who think, remember Bud Light? Oh my God. Where is she? She's probably big payout, golden parachute. These executives who think the American public just is too stupid to know what's good for them. They believe they're on some kind of moral crusade, or I guess, I'm trying to figure this out, even though they're losing billions. And if they have to destroy a century of culture, a century of tradition, a century of a brand, they don't care. They just don't care. Like somebody who says, I'm going to go burn a Tesla. They're going to catch you. Pam Bondi, you've got red dots on you. They're going to throw your ass in prison for 25 years. I don't care. Why? Why? Because it's the same people say, why did you cover your arm in tattoos? I got to bring it up. Why? Because that's cool. It's what I do. But you look like, what is this? You like a freak show. I don't know. None of the world doesn't make sense to me. Why don't you send these people a list that says 5 things you do during the week? I can't do that. Why? I don't understand. What is especially, as people would say, literally amazing, bruh, is that the same folks preaching this inclusion and progressivism crap are the ones dividing audiences along racial, gender, and ideological lines. And that's what DEI. It's division, exclusion, insanity. It's this us, them. They don't care about unity. They don't care about control. They don't even care about intent. They're looking at a dwarf. Oh, no. Even though that's part of it. Driving Miss Daisy. I'm trying to think of what they would find offensive today. It blows my mind. Our good friend WBM Fishman, WBM says, Yahoo finally caught you live. Agree 100%. You were so spot on. Never stop. Thank you, sir. And Pedro Brando says, Team Electric could defeat Team Gasoline with Morton salt instead of advanced explosives. Dude, thank you. I like that. I like that one. Very good. Sometimes you think, I like that one. This to me is a testament to what's going on. Every time Americans reject their propaganda at the box office, they double down. It's insanity. It's like watching somebody set their house on fire and then blame the neighbors for not admiring the flames or something. I don't get it. This radical left, this is a mental illness. This should be in the DSM-5. It's not just TDS. Their obsession with rewriting the past, deconstructing heroes, destroying tradition, and injecting their own, remember this? Intersectional. It's intersectional. What does that mean? Intersectional bullshit into every frame of the film. It's turned entertainment, which should be their only concern in terms of being profitable, into a chore and a bore. And what used to be fun and magical and what kids used to love and aspirational is now exhausting. And nobody wants a lecture from a princess. Nobody wants to be scolded or read the riot act in a fairy tale. The idea is that you want to go to movies to escape this nonsense, to feel good, not to be dragged into it. We don't need lecturing. We don't need virtue signaling. This new Snow White, I'm serious. The more I think about it, it should be mandatory watching, sorry, Rick Rohr, because it explains everything. This didn't fail because of racism or sexism or internet trolls or right wing or Trump. It failed because it was hollow. It was fake. It was phony. It was shallow. It was condescending, joyless. It was insipid, vapid, void. It was tasteless, anodyne, saccharine nonsense. It failed because it seemed to replace this timeless, loved values with trendy, stupid slogans that nobody cared about. It failed because it forgot the audience, which is what the Democrats are doing, which is what they're doing right now because they're suggesting, don't believe this, that AOC and others, no. You watch this Michelle. You watch the Mayor Michelle in Boston. But here's the good news. There is good news, right? Americans like you and me are waking up. We don't buy this nonsense. We don't care about this. Americans have woken. First, nobody's buying this. They're turning out the noise. This is ridiculous. They're actually tuning out or turning out, which is interesting. They're saying this is nonsense, and they're voting with their wallets or by not paying. And they're saying loud and clear, we've had enough. And you would think the Democrats would say, we just lost an election we were slaughtered. Pump the brakes. Back off. They can't do it. Families are rejecting this garbage. Parents are pulling their kids out of the line for woke entertainment. Nobody wants this. When you teach kids something as important as this, it's priceless. Therese Pollard says, Trump fired up Canada. That he did. And the world, Therese. And the world. When kids are little and you want to give them, do you know how beautiful it is to see a child in this beautiful sense of, have you ever seen that? Have you seen when your kid goes to his first, I don't like circuses, but whatever. Doesn't matter. That look of, isn't that beautiful? Doesn't that make your heart leap? When they see this, they don't understand hate. They don't understand. They look at a dwarf. They like dwarfs. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. And we're destroying that. They're destroying that. And they're destroying themselves in the meantime, and we're not going to make a big deal about it. We're not going to let them. Let me tell you a quick story. Years ago, there was a guy, there was a place called, it was on Court TV at the time, there was a show called, there was a place called Nacho Mamas. I think it was Wisconsin, maybe. And it was a Mexican restaurant, and there was this fella who walked around. It was a little person. And he had a big sombrero. We had the top of the sombrero was like a stovepipe with this indentation where they put a bowl of salsa, and he had chips along the perimeter of the brim, and he would walk around, and people would be drinking, and he walked right up and go, "Oh, thank you, Jerry." And here's a couple. The guy made a fortune. Nobody mocked him, and kids loved him. They walked right up, and they looked at this guy's face, and he goes, "What is this?" They didn't say, "Hey, here's this deformed dwarf." They said, "He's my size." Not, "There's something wrong with him. He's my size." And he would make balloons, and kids loved him. He made a fortune until the little people of America came in and said, "Oh, no, you don't." And he lost his job. Years ago in Florida, I don't know if we have it here where you are, we had this thing called dwarf tossing. I thought it was strange, but I said, listen, if you don't mind being, if a woman can appear in a beauty pageant, which is to me, the most demeaning thing in the world, a person should be able to do that. This is the most important thing in the world. Parents are saying to their kids, no, you're not going to be watching this anymore. And the real artists and the creators and the thinkers are really, I think, finally kind of pushing back. People like us are pushing back. This is who we are. This is our Republican Party. We're not necessarily just involved in, what am I trying to say? We're not just in the usual, I can't think of the word, the usual political argument. Ours is different. You know, every organization, every country, every empire, every culture that loses touch with its people eventually crumbles. And this is what they don't understand. It's not about necessarily military and borders. It's about a government or a people or a culture losing track where you're feeling, I don't feel a part of this anymore. When you go to a country, if you want to move to France, you want to feel what it feels like to be a Parisian or a Frenchman or whatever it is. You appreciate their values. When they lose track of that, you're moralist. You're not connected. And make no mistake about this, my friends. Woke Hollywood in particular, it is collapsing. There are no stars. The scripts are recycled. The magic is gone, and all of that. But it's emblematic of a lot of other stuff. Look at our politics. Why do you think Michelle? Why do you think AOC, not AOC, Kamala Harris lost so much? Why? Because of this. We live in a world filled with these buzzwords and phrases and intersectionality, and my pronouns are this, and I don't even understand it. I don't get it. It blows my mind, my friends. Absolutely blows my mind. It really does. I don't even know how do they let this, how does this even go on anymore? You know, there's something which is really funny, which I want to explain to you, but only after this. If you're watching this, consider yourself warned. Food prices are about to explode, and the time to prepare is now. Listen, go to preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com and secure your 4-week emergency food supply now while supplies last. With new tariffs, listen to me, with new tariffs slamming the global market and inflation spiraling, your grocery bill is about to skyrocket. When the crisis hits, shelves will be empty, and those who didn't prepare will be left desperate. History proves it. Every major economic collapse, every supply chain disruption, the first thing to go is food. You do not want to be waiting in government lines, hoping there's enough left for you and your family. This 4-week emergency food kit delivers over 2,000 calories per day, ensuring you have the nutrients you need and your family needs to weather the storm. It's fortified for survival, packed in rugged, long-term storage containers, and can last up to 25 years. So when disaster strikes, you'll be ready. Order today, and you'll get 4 free 72-hour food kits. That's 12 extra days of meals at no cost. The regular price is $346.80, but right now, you get it for just $247. Don't wait until it's too late. Go to preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com, and lock in your emergency food supply before the real panic begins. I have always said, and I was hoping that somebody could explain this and follow up with this to President Trump. I think they sort of did. But when I want to run, if I ran a campaign, I would understand the people I'm trying to get. See, America remembers what it was like when we grew up and basic values. We remember kind of who we were, you know, courage and sacrifice and love and hope and all the stuff that we think we're about. And we remember heroes and people that we really looked up to, and villains and imagination, and how some people deserve their defeats and some people deserve the victories, and, you know, happy endings, not those kinds, and everything that inspired us. We were never lectured as kids. Do you remember that? Even Rick Rohr knows this. Do you remember? Do you remember this? This is the most important thing in the world. It was one of those things where we were never lectured. We just kind of learned. We remember the truth that came from, you know, magic and vice versa, not Twitter. It was a wonderful time. I never realized how great it was to live in. And now it's time for a cultural reset. Listen to what I'm saying more than anything else. It's time, and it's also a time to recognize that when I go on to the voter, I don't have a lot of time to speak. This is not about Disney. It's for the bigger question. We don't need more remakes of stuff, because they're trying to make, not remaking movies, they're trying to remake, believe it or not, society and morality. We need originality. We don't need slogans. We don't need stories. We don't need DEI and all this. We need visionaries. We need heroes. We need John Wayne. We need cowboys. We need the good guys, the white hats. We need people with guts to stand up to the mob and not only make entertainment worth watching, but make politics understandable. So remember, it's not going to be just the end of it. It's not about Snow White, but I think it's a cautionary tale. It's not about princes and poison apples and all that. It's about what happens when you let ideology override imagination. And the radical left is so important. It's a cancer. And you can only, I kind of don't want to stop all of them because, believe it or not, you're not going to like this, but it builds up a resistance. Shall I bring up the herd immunity? It's kind of like a lot of things too. We become resistant to this. So this progressive fairy tale nonsense can be pointed out smartly. The rest of us will be here, building something better, watching what's happening in the world, loving and supporting our President Trump, because the American people are done clapping for garbage. Look, let me explain something to you. Let me really get down to business here. I want you to listen to me more than anything else. I don't care what the truth is. I care what you think the truth is. I'm not going to try to go out here and change your mind. I just want you to do what I want you to do. I don't want you to change your mind. I can't change your mind. I want you to vote for this man right here, okay? This is Donald Trump. How do you do? How are you, sir? This is what I want you to do. So how do I do this? Well, first thing I do is I want to find out what you believe in, and I want you to think he believes in it, especially if he does. And I don't want to waste your time talking about things that you're not going to understand. Let me give you an example. I was watching this morning a very interesting, and I really I respect these people a lot. Max Blumenthal, Aaron Mate, Katie Halper, Judge Napolitano, Mearsheimer, all great smart people. And I'm thinking, I ain't going to bring that up. Not to the American people. You don't understand what that is. They look at that and they say, these people are crazy. What? That's right. They look at people standing there wearing keffiyehs and yelling, all this other stuff, and death to Israel. They don't like that. They don't feel anything in their heart about somebody doing this. And you can scream all day long. That's the way they are. Sorry. I'm going to say this, and I don't want you to take it the wrong way. Ask yourself this question. You have a bunch of 6-year-olds, all right? They have a party, and you're throwing it for your kid or your grandkid or whatever it is. And you're in charge of the food. What do you want to be a hit? What do you want to be? What do you want it to be? The food. You want to give them stuff that's good for them? Kale. Kale is very good. No matter what anybody says. Organic is good. Maybe some... No. Your goal is to have the kids have a good time, right? Is your goal to feed them? To nourish them? No. What do you serve them? Pizza. Done. Ice cream. Cake. Done. Hot dogs. Done. Burger. That's it. You're a hit. Nobody says, hey, look, tabbouleh. What? Bulgur wheat. Yay. No. It's that simple. It's that simple. And Kathy L says, I love Judge Napolitano. I do too. You think that's going to win an election? Nope. Do you think that we're going to say that, should I waste my time? Now, do I agree with him? Absolutely. Do I agree with much, if not all, of what Blumenthal said? Absolutely. I'm not going to use that if I run for office. No way. I wouldn't win. I want to win. I want those kids at the party to say, that's it. And I want to hand President Trump a victory, or whoever his denoted, designated successor is, and that's it. And if I have the chance to say, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you. Let me give you a quick story. One time I spoke before this group of, I think it was, Chamber of Commerce, Westchester County, something like that. Business people. What would you tell them? What's my goal? I want to win them over. I also want to be asked back. Maybe they can pay me, whatever. But I want them to have a good time. What do? Tell them what they want to hear, but tell them it's the truth, and make sure you believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, you are business owners, and the thing that is standing in front of you right now is not your client, not the worth of your wares. No, it's the government controlling every move, regulation, taxes. I swear to God, when I got done, I told them everything they wanted to know, which is the truth. Which is the truth. They don't want to hear about, regulation is important because, years ago, without regulation, we still have the 40-hour. They're going to look at me like, what are you doing here? So what I'm trying to tell you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is simply this. If we want to win again, stop all this. Let everybody talk about it. Let judgment. And I love judgment. I love all the people. I love the talk about this and that. And there's this voter. This is a guy that I want to go and I want to say, do you remember when you were a kid? Do you remember the mystery of just being innocent? Do you remember being a kid, climbing a tree, drinking out of a hose, not wearing a helmet, not being afraid, riding on a bike, falling down, scratching your knees, BB guns, fireworks, little back teen? Do you remember that? Remember there was nobody with a peanut allergy? Did you know any autistic kids? No. Did you know any ADD, ADA? Not really. I mean, some maybe. Did you know anybody who were on some kind of psychiatric medication? No. Did you ever know an autistic? Did you ever hear about the term? No, never did. And that wasn't long ago. And now every other kid's like, what's wrong with it? When you meet somebody, you say, what's wrong with your kid? That's what you want to say. Now, what's great? What grade is he in? What's wrong with your kid? Do you remember there was a time that we would be respectful? And there was this thing, but it was a different world then. They'd say, go out and play until the streetlights come on. Okay, I want to go back to that. I swear to God, when I tell people that, I connect with them because I've given them something they can believe in. It's this feeling. Yes, they say. Yes. Because what we are losing, the battle for the American soul, has to do nothing with military or China or any of that stuff. It has to do with something even more important. It's a very simple thing. It has to do with our ability to, what is this? What is this? There we go. I don't know what the hell that was. But it has to do with our philosophy. That's all. That's all I want to tell you. That's all I want to tell you. So we can talk about all this stuff, and it's great, and it's important, and it's terrific. And we need to talk about it. We need to talk about stuff. But if you want to win an election, find out what makes people what really gets their attention. And pay attention. And Rick Rohr, I know you're proud of this, my friend. I know you are. I know you're a good man. But pay attention. Read about this Snow White thing. Read what they're talking about. Find out what it means. That's all I'm saying. It's a very, very simple thing. And to you, my dear friends, my great, great friends, all of you, Therese Pollard and Pedro Brando and WBM Fishman WBM, interesting name. Cut Up Chatter, Fred Haddad Jr., thank you so much. Raul Rodriguez, thank you immensely. Don't forget to follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. Also, don't forget, coming up, I've got this great interview with Charles Ortel. Oh my God, it's uploading now and it's wonderful. Also, on my private channel, if you go to lionelmedia.com, I do my stuff and I talk to you and I point out music to you. I like to point out some song people don't like. People maybe you never heard of before. And there's a woman named, I think she's like 34. If that, her name is Sierra Hull. And she was I think 13, and this incredible, phenomenal mandolinist, if there is such a word. You could not believe what you were saying. Could not believe it. She played, I mean, it was like, my God. She's from Byrdstown, Tennessee. Sierra Hull. She is just, and now it's funny, you look and you think, oh my God, she's grown. And she's a bluegrass, she's a phenom. She was a child prodigy. Unbelievable. She signed, I think, with Rounder Records at 13. She had a debut album in 2008. She's a Berkeley graduate, earned multiple awards. And the nicest thing in her. Okay, so she was a prodigy. So here's normal people. She was like, what? At the age of 13. And then she got better. And then you can only get so good. And then all of a sudden, people caught up. So now, while she's good, there are people who might be better than she is, though I probably doubt it. Magnus Carlsen was a child prodigy. Maybe there are others who weren't. If you get really good at an early age, if you're really good, does that mean you always maintain this level, or do one day you just kind of catch up? It's a fascinating story. Sometimes being a prodigy is a very, very tough thing. Anyway, so I talk about that on my private channel, lionelmedia.com, among other things. In any event, have a great and glorious day. Love you madly. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. Until next time, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.